Hi there, this is Brent Harris, the productivity coach, and the basic gist of what I do is I show people how to attain high levels of sustainable productivity. So being in a place where you can be productive in a meaningful way for long periods of time, for sustainable periods of time, so indefinitely, so that we can actualize our potential, so that we can really do the most in this lifetime that we believe that we're capable of doing, and seeing how far we can go, seeing how much we can do, seeing how much we can serve, seeing how much we can create and offer to the world so that we can make the world better. It is my deeply held belief that all of us, the more we move along our path of actualization, so the more that we grow into the people that we know we can become and that we want to become, the more it's actually a movement into service to the world. So it's a discovery of the gifts that are in us to give, like creating them, manifesting them, and then offering them out to the world. And as we do so, realizing that the world actually very much requires us and requires our gifts, and has been, it often seems, waiting around for us to get our act together so that we can offer these gifts to the world so that they can benefit from it and move on their own journeys with that. So that's what I'm here to do. And so there's one major foundational element that's required in order for all of this to happen, and that is respect, to cultivate respect in ourselves. And so, of course, this involves respecting everybody, respecting people, respecting the world, respecting the planet. But I maintain that this is only possible if we are able to properly respect ourselves, if we're able to really learn how to authentically and congruently and without holding anything back to respect ourselves. And thus, the name of today's video and today's lesson is how to have self-respect, and in parentheses, and why you should. So what I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm going to do three things. I'm going to explain the importance of respect, like what it's for, why we should talk about it, why I think you should cultivate it. Number two will be what it actually is, how it functions, what it is, how it works. And then three, I'll get to how to actually do it. And that is what we are going to do. So I have a couple notes here that I'm touching on. Yeah, we're good to go. So the importance of self-respect. So something that I've noticed is that all of us tend to flourish in the presence of respect. So in other words, if we're in the presence of somebody who respects us, we flourish, we do well, we grow, we develop within their presence. So think, for example, about a time that you were in the presence of somebody who respected you. It could be a parent, teacher, a friend, neighbor, whatever, sibling. And you're with them and you're hanging out with them, and you can tell that they just have a lot of respect for you. How does it feel to be around them? And how liberating is it to be around them? And you may notice that in situations like these, you're free to be yourself. And when you're free to be yourself, you are free to explore who you are. You're free to explore your identity. So you're free to, for example, say run your mouth and tell stories, or just talk and just, say what's coming to your mind. And if you're in the presence of somebody who really respects you, you're free to move, you're free to have opinions, you're free to try things out, you're free to fail, to attempt something and fail, or say something that maybe doesn't come out right, or, or build something that, falls short of the mark, whatever it is. When you're around somebody that respects you, you get a certain permission from them to attempt something and fail. And the more you do this, the more you cultivate skill in doing one particular thing, and the more you cultivate experience as you continuously experiment with moving in ways that are congruent for you. So moving in ways that are authentic for you, moving in ways that you most want to move and explore and try and create. Think about, for example, when you were a kid, if you have memories from when you were a kid. I remember my childhood relatively well. And I remember kids are mean in school. They always are, and they always will be, and they always were. But there was this point in around kindergarten, junior kindergarten, senior kindergarten, where kids had not quite yet learned how to reject each other, and they hadn't learned how to be mean yet. And so what that meant was that, like, during recess or during like playtime, we could just run around and like stack blocks, and make up games of pretend, spontaneously coming up with games of pretend. All right, you're this and I'm that. And you would play these games and just kind of laugh about it, or just, the game would suddenly dissolve and we'd move on to something else. And these were times of great exploration and great learning. But conversely, when we're around somebody that does not respect us, we're on edge, we're defensive, we have to stand up for ourselves, we hide, we have to show a good face, and everything is curtailed and everything's held at bay, and it's just not fun, and we're not able to grow. So I want you to have respect for yourself, because if you have respect for yourself, then you can give yourself permission to move deeper and deeper into authenticity, deeper and deeper into self-exploration, exploring what you are, exploring what you're here to do, exploring your priorities and what's important for you. And the more respect you have for yourself, the more you let yourself off the hook. If you feel like you've messed up with something, you missed the mark on something, just the better it becomes. So like there's a really key piece here. Like for example, like how this actually comes into play is, say you want to get a habit in place of going to the gym, this is filmed during COVID-19 time. So it's like you want to, say work out, do muscle training at home. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do this every day. And that's what you promise to yourself. And you start out doing the thing. You start out working out, and you do it successfully for a couple days, and then you stop. You fail to get out of bed on time, and you miss the opportunity, and you don't do it. If you don't have a lot of respect for yourself, then what you'll do is you will punish yourself for missing that day, and you will say really harsh things to yourself. You'll judge yourself, and you will decide that you're not actually able to get this habit online, and it's too difficult for you, and you can't, and what's the point? Because you had no self-respect, the downtime between this moment and your next attempt at establishing a habit of working out is too long. You made it much longer because there was no self-respect. And so all this time would need to pass before you'd finally collect the courage to go out for it again, to do your next attempt. Whereas if you had self-respect, you'd say, okay, it's all right. I did my best and I failed. But it wasn't a total failure, because I actually was successful with day 1 and 2. I just missed day 3. I can still do this. I still love myself. I know this is definitely within my ability. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to take a day off, and I'm going to see if I can recollect myself and try again. And now in this case, your downtime is like 1 or 2 days instead of weeks, which it sometimes can be, or months, or never, or you just give up forever and ever. So the main point, what I really want to get across is that when you respect yourself, this self-respect acts as a certain lubricant for your life. It gives you the freedom to grow and develop and experiment and find your rhythms and patterns as you evolve as a person. So self-respect is absolutely crucial. And not only that, but check this out, because as we move along the path of our highest growth, we will be necessarily faced with things that are difficult. This is something that I'm just really kind of admitting to myself lately, because I tend to really wish things would be easy, and some things are, but man, growing up, maturing, evolving, it's difficult. It's challenging. It's like moving out of the ocean where there's like no gravity and onto land where there is gravity and exposure to the sun and whatever. It's challenging to become the greater version of ourselves. And if we don't respect ourselves, then there won't be sufficient motivation to do what's necessary in order to undergo this evolution. If we don't respect ourselves, we won't see ourselves as worth the efforts. It's not worth the trouble. It's like, what's the point? Who cares? And there will be no motivation. So it's like without self-respect, we can't grow. And if we don't respect ourselves, we'll just stagnate. And our potential, and this is a real possibility, our potential will never be expressed. And it'll stay inside, unactualized, and it will ferment as grief and resentment and disappointment. So no thanks, right? Let's get this in order, and let's start respecting ourselves. And let's take our self-growth seriously. So that's it. So that's the importance of respect. So what is respect? What is it? What indeed? Okay, cool. Okay, so here's something interesting. So one thing, a quality about respect, and I'm going to say something controversial now, which is that it's not deserved. A lot of people say that respect is a matter of deserving. So, people would say, I don't respect this person because he hasn't earned my respect, or he doesn't deserve my respect. And I would like to contend that respect is not earned, it's not deserved, and that all beings that come into existence deserve respect. It's just de facto. It's just a quality of existing in the first place. It's like love. Everything that comes into existence deserves love because it exists. You can put this to the test, because imagine, put you and me aside and put humanity aside for a second. I know it can be challenging to love humanity, and it can be challenging to respect humanity. I totally get that. But let's go into a forest, and you imagine you're in a forest and just pick a tree and you're looking at the tree. Do you respect this tree? Kind of a weird question. Do you respect this tree? Well, I mean, I've asked 20 people this question, and the answer is typically yes. It's like, sure, yeah, I do. But, I've heard some people say well, no, I don't respect this tree. And I'd be like, why not? And they're like, well, I guess I might respect this tree depending on how much it contributes to the rest of the forest, like how much fruit it produces or whatever. But the thing is, what gets tricky about respect is that you're starting to create a system of judgment for how you give respect and how you withhold respect. So it's like, under these criterion, I give respect. Under these criterion, I don't give respect. But again, just looking at this tree, staying on this one example, if you're looking at a tree, the tree is it's not doing its best or its worst. It's just doing what it does. It's just operating according to whatever the stimulus is. It's just whatever nutrients are provided, whatever it has access to, whatever it's able to give, it just does whatever it can do. It just does what it does. It just kind of moves in a way that feels most appropriate. And by move, I mean move upward. So any system of evaluation for respect falls away. It's like the tree just did what it did, and that's it. And so you can extend this to any flower, any ocean. Do you respect the ocean, for example? And the answer is probably yes. I mean, it's just there. Most animals, sure. It's like, if at any point, if there's any aspect of the manifested universe that you decide to withhold respect from, that event of withholding respect doesn't do anything to the object from whom you're withholding respect. Not really. You're mostly damaging yourself in a way, because this is weird. This might be weird to hear, but it's as soon as you start deciding, as soon as you start playing this game of this aspect of the universe deserves respect and this aspect of the universe does not deserve respect, you're creating division inside of your own psychology. You're creating division in the world and in yourself. And you're getting lost in your judgments. You're getting lost in your own mentalized structures of what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong. And you're missing a very, very basic foundational fact that everything in the universe is operating according to its own level of maturity and its own level of growth and whatever makes sense for it at any given moment. So this is easy to see when you see a tree or when you see an animal, or when you see an ocean or a galaxy. It's all just doing what it does. A little bit more challenging when you look at a human being. But the principle is the same. You can see human beings acting in ways that are unsavory, that are bad, that are wrong, that cause damage, that cause harm, that like make the world worse. And, we should 100% take action to stop bad things from happening as soon as we can. And by bad, I'm speaking of a relative bad, like when, somebody's getting hurt or something's being destroyed or something is happening to like bother or upset people, like that kind of level of bad and good. But all people, the best that they can do, the best that any one person can ever do, and the best that you and I ever do, is we operate from our own level of maturity. So for example, like, what I'm doing right now, like this is the best I have to offer. And this, what I'm doing represents how far I've come as an individual, how mature I've come. I have no doubt that when I look back on this video, like a year from now, I will see a lack of maturity. Like I'll see like how like my perspective was smaller compared to what it will be. And that's just how it's always going to go. And some people are very, very deeply unconscious and they behave in destructive ways, and they should be contained, but they should be respected, because what else can be asked of a person besides doing what else can be asked of a person except for them to do whatever? It's tricky. It's funny. I can almost like, I've had these conversations before, and like certain arguments come up. Justice should still be served when people do things that are wrong, but we should still respect them, because there's just nothing else to expect of a person besides action at their own level of growth. And different people are at different levels of growth and at different levels of maturity. The lower you are in maturity, the more destructive you'll be. The higher you are in maturity, the more productive you'll be, and the more you'll serve and give and love and hold space for. Like that's the way maturity goes. But if a person is very low in maturity, it means that like that's the part of the journey that they're on. And what is there not to respect in that? That's the point that I mean to make. Like, for example, you could look at say like an adult human, and you see like there's some adult humans that are grown up in their 30s, there's some in their 40s, some in their 60s, and some who are just 2 years old. Do you criticize a 2-year-old for only being 2 years old? No. That's just where the human being is. And so you hold space for them and respect them, because there's nothing wrong with them, because they're an aspect of the universe just like every other aspect of the universe. And as soon as you start dividing the universe in terms of what you respect and what you can't, what you don't respect, and your respect becomes divided, your respect becomes choosy or conditioned, it only shows that you're withholding respect from aspects of your own self. You respect parts of yourself that you approve of, and you do not respect other parts of yourself that you don't approve of. And it shows that your love for the universe is divided, and your psychology is divided. And as long as there's division in you, there will always be conflict. You'll always be caught in good versus evil, right versus wrong, which is a burn of resources. You can never attain that full productivity, the full growth, the full manifestation of your potential if you're battling conflict within inside of yourself. The movement is towards unification. And so unification within, unification of all the different aspects of yourself, of your psyche, and then in giving that outward, offering your respect and your love across the board, and withholding it from nobody, because you know that you're offering your respect is literally the space that people grow and develop in. It is giving the space for people to grow and discover themselves and mature. If there's no respect, then there's an antagonism in your relationship with that person. And then that person needs to defend themselves from you, and they can't grow. Respect also includes a knowledge in the deep wisdom of the universe, because every manifested element of the universe is a microcosm of the universe itself. And so what that means is that when something is manifested, it is imbued with that creative power of the entire universe itself, sitting at the very core, like a kernel in the very center. And so every aspect of the universe knows how to move into its own fulfillment. It knows how to actualize, how to self-actualize, as long as it's given the resources. I would direct you to my earlier video because I spoke about that as well. This is a very key component. It knows how to self-actualize as long as it's given the space and the means to do so. And so you can respect that in an individual, even if that individual seems to be really, really far gone. If they need help, give them help. If they're asking for help, give it to them. If you offer help and they accept it, give it to them. But this respect is so deep that you allow these people who say like, no, I don't want your help. I don't, leave me alone. I don't want to talk about this. I got this. Giving like so much respect do you have for them that you respect the deep, deep wisdom within them, the wisdom that created them, the wisdom that maintains their own existence, that runs deeper than their mind, than their own rational minds. When you respect that, you can know that they're okay and that they do know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, even if they say they don't, or even if they believe they don't, they still know what they're doing. This was something I realized in my own self as I went through a deep depression around 2015, 2016. I was lost, and I had so many expectations of myself that I couldn't fulfill, and I had so little control over my behaviors and compulsions and addictions. And what terrified me was this idea that I had some kind of potential to offer to the world that I was like fucking up. Like I was like not doing it and like wasting the opportunity, wasting the potential, and not doing it properly. And I realized in a deep meditation that when I'm really honest, and if I stop apologizing for myself and I stop trying to explain myself to everybody, I do know what the fuck I'm doing. And so do you, and so do all of us. And so does an acorn. When you plant it into the soil, it knows what it's doing. It's crazy. So, fucking A. All right, so there we go. Okay, so that's the nature of respect. That's why you should respect. That's what respect is. All things deserve respect. If you withhold respect, you're withholding something from yourself. The way you treat the universe is analogous to how you treat yourself. And if you're divided, then you're rowing your boat with the oars going the wrong way. You're just going in circles. You can't really move forward congruently in the significant ways that you want to. Good. How to respect yourself. All right, part 3 of 3. How to respect yourself. Very, very simple. In order to respect yourself, all you need to do is establish a willingness to respect yourself. It's that simple. It's that easy. So if you establish a willingness to respect yourself, so in other words, you arrive in a place where you're like, I'm willing to respect myself. If you can do that, doing that will initiate the process of self-respect, which will unfold over time. And you will see, you'll 100% see. What happens is I'll find say a coaching scenario, I'll speak with somebody, I'll say, hey, are you willing to respect yourself? And they'll say, oh, I'd love to, but, and then they give all their reasons for withholding respect from themselves. So I'd like to ask you, would you be willing to release your reasons for withholding respect from yourself? So one more time, would you be willing to release all of your reasons for withholding respect from yourself? Are your reasons, do you believe your reasons? Do you feel that they're valid? Do you think they're real? I maintain that this is my belief, this is my conviction. There is no valid reason to withhold respect from anybody, much less ourselves. What do you think? Do you think that's true? Okay. Let's release those reasons. All the reasons you have for withholding respect from yourself, can we let them go now? Only just say yes or no. No conditions, just yes or no. Would you be willing to let them go now? Say it out loud. Cool. Yes. You may notice it already feels better. It's like, would you be willing to release all of your reasons for withholding respect? Yes or no? Yes. Great. Let them go. Just imagine resolving it. Imagine dissolving it. Imagine just allowing it to complete itself, and just imagine it just dissolving on its own. You'll see. You'll totally feel something. Yeah. So that one. Okay. So now, would you be willing to cultivate respect for yourself? Would you be willing to have self-respect? Can you get to a yes, a solid yes? Yes, period. And again, would you be willing to respect yourself? Would you be willing to give nothing but utter, complete, unconditioned, so no conditions, unconditioned respect to yourself, starting now? Excellent. Now you may find in the future, as you go about your day, as you go about your week, old lack of respect may come up. That's fine. Don't panic, don't freak out, totally fine. Just don't believe it. Would you be willing to never, ever, ever again, starting now, would you be willing to never, ever again believe any your reasons for withholding respect? Cool. All right. And watch, over the next week, you'll see, over the next 7 days, you will feel that there's much, much more self-respect in yourself. And now that there's self-respect, it's like you have a green light to go a little bit further outside of your comfort zone, which is where your growth is, and really try something new and really act directly upon the main quest of your life. Do you know what that is? Then I suggest getting a $5 coaching session, live, one-on-one with me. Get a live coaching session. I have all the details in the show notes below, the description box below. Book a session. This will not be available forever. I just do it until my schedule fills up, and then usually I'll make a couple posts and it'll just fill up and I'll have to close the offer. $5, best $5 you've ever spent. You'll love it. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to get to know you. And then finally, if you are watching this now, mid-April, I will be launching a super small, intimate coaching group for people. There's 2 spots left for this, and it'll be 12 weeks long. Get in touch with me if you want to learn more about that, because it's going to be dope and very affordable too. It'll be, it's like $150 monthly or something, Canadian. It's awesome. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching. Take care. Respect yourself. I love you. Bye.